welcome to Gimme A Song. I'm your host, Jeff Phipps. Just to go back over what the show is about, I invite friends on to give me a song, and then I give them a song in response, and then we talk about the songs. The thing I keep needing to say in front of the podcast is you need to listen to these songs. There'll be links in the videos, on the Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. So make sure that you're listening to the songs, otherwise this podcast doesn't make as much sense. So we bring friends on. Today we have my friend,
me.
yes,
Ellie
you,
Kirchhoefer.
Ellie Kirchhoefer. Hello.
Hi.
Introduce yourself and tell me what you do.
I'm Ellie Kirchhoefer. I am a local stand-up comedian in St. Louis.
How long have you been doing that?
About 2 years. No, it's close to 3 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you say is your biggest accomplishment thus far as a stand-up comic?
I think just technically getting to feature at a club for a weekend. Tim Meadows had me out to feature for him this last weekend, so that was probably it.
Okay.
From like a comedy standpoint. But I mean, yeah, that's what.
And how did this weekend go?
It was really good. We had 4 sold-out shows, which was
Nice.
really cool. Yeah, Tim is super nice and professional and great to work with. The hosts were both really good and really nice. It was a good
Was it
weekend.
the same host all weekend, or did they have different hosts?
They had 2 different hosts. We had
Okay.
one Friday and one Saturday.
Okay.
And they were both out of Detroit, and they were really good.
Okay. How did this come about?
I got to host for Tim Meadows when he was here a couple months ago. So he knew me from that, and he said that he just wanted me to come.
So he called you up and said, "Hey."
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
Has he invited you to other dates down the road, or?
No, sorry. In October 12th, I'll be in Detroit for a Democratic fundraiser comedy show that he's putting on.
Okay.
So that'll be fun.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a neat way to be involved in the election, I guess. She better win. Now we're doing politics.
No, we're not. No, I'm relatively apolitical, and I'd like to keep this podcast that way. So, that's all you want. We can discuss this off the air.
Can I change my song to the national anthem?
You can, and I'll just counter with a different one. Anyway, so that brings us up to the, that's a good point. So, what I ask is people to come and give me a song, and I want the song to have some sort of meaning to them. So, what was the song that you gave me?
I gave you The Phone Book by The Editors.
Did you know it's just Editors?
By Editors.
Yeah. It's like Eagles. Everybody thinks it's the Eagles, but it's not. Of course they wouldn't have the in front because they're Eagles.
Right.
And Eagles soar. They're not the Eagles. At some point somebody's going to give me a song and I'm going to give them an Eagles song, and then I'm just going to rail on Eagles.
Is that what you were waiting for? Was it for me to pick an Eagles song?
That's all I've been waiting for. One of these episodes, somebody's going to give me an in where I can counter with an Eagles song, and then it's just at some point down the road, somebody soon we're going to be talking about Fleetwood Mac. So
oh, good.
I'm extremely excited to talk about Fleetwood Mac. But let's talk about Editors. Let's start with this.
Okay.
So let's start with the song. We'll talk about the Editors in a minute. How did you find this song?
I can't remember how I found it. Probably a Spotify Shuffle playlist. I have no idea how I found it. I found it probably in 2020 or 2021. It came up at the time where I had just started taking care of my dad, I think, and so it became like, I think it resonated with me because of that.
Yeah.
But as far as like, I think I have maybe 2 other Editors songs.
Yeah.
Saved. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the band. It's not because like I like.
And did you try to go down that? Did you try to go down that?
I did. I listened to a few things, and they've got. I mean, I've got a bad attention span, so I probably listened to a few and was like, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's great. But I just.
I was a big fan of their first album, which has got like Munich on it and stuff like that.
Okay.
Because they sounded a lot like the bands I was listening to at the time. And then like their second album came out, and I was like, this is okay. And then by like their third one, I like just kind of forgot about them.
Yeah.
Tell me about this song. What is the song? So this song, like you have this time point, like this time reference in your mind about taking care of your dad, right? And
yeah.
So your dad was sick. What was?
He was.
Did you want to talk about it? Not talk about it?
Yeah, he had dementia. So he had, we don't know what kind. It wasn't Alzheimer's, probably. It might have been like a they've got a frontotemporal dementias and stuff like that. But he had some kind of dementia, and so pretty quickly after, he was hospitalized a few times. We thought maybe he was having seizures, maybe not. And pretty quickly after that, I moved in with him to take care of him, because it became really apparent that he was not good on his own. So yeah, I did that for.
So this is all during the pandemic, right?
Yeah, which was crazy. It was right before I think I was 22 when I moved in with him, and I think the pandemic started like 6 months later or something.
Did you have a job where you could work from home at the time, or no?
No.
So you had to go somewhere?
Yeah, I had to. I worked in medical billing collections, which was awful because we're in the middle of a pandemic, and I'm calling people like, can you get $25 for your cancer treatment? It was really not a good.
I know I understand you're out of a job. You probably just lost a family member.
Yeah.
But we still need money.
Yeah. Can you give me $25 today? And I didn't do well at that job because I couldn't. They'd say like, no, and I'd be like, well, that's okay.
At least we talk to each other. You're aware of the debt, correct? And they're like, yes, I'm aware of it.
I'm like, oh, good, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
at some point, we're gonna want this back. I'm like,
yeah.
And they're like, that silly billing girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope she calls again. She's really nice.
Oh man, I hope so. They probably just thought, that stupid kid.
Probably. They're like, oh, it's her. Like, sure, I'll ask her how her day's going. How's everything,
Yeah.
Do you have any money? No.
Nobody on this call has any money.
No, probably not during the pandemic. I mean, honestly, and the people who did. Yeah. I don't know. What a weird time in the world, the pandemic, that we'll never understand it, I don't think. I don't know.
I don't think so. And it was weird because, like, it's just such a uncommon and, like, rare occurrence that I remember my mom saying, like, nothing like this has ever happened before. And I was like, well, that's not true. This has definitely happened before.
But the Spanish flu, they had like a similar pandemic,
Yes,
and then the bird flu, like the Asian countries were more adapted to it than we were.
Yeah, but we hadn't experienced it to that extent.
Well, and in our lifetimes.
And hopefully we won't again. So it's just a really weird...
Fingers crossed.
It's just a really weird, like, patch of 3 or 4 years, or however long you look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, some people are still, concerned about it. And I had COVID a few weeks ago, so like, it's around, but at least it's not what it was.
Yeah, COVID, huh?
Yep.
He scoots back. This is about 3 feet. Yeah, that's 3 feet.
You only get half sick.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever. I could use about a COVID right now. I could use some days off from work. So you're taking care of your dad. Are you listening to this song like every day? Like how pretty obsessed were you with it?
I think with any song that I find that feels meaningful, I over listen to it. Like I probably listen to it every day. Probably. But it's kind of an emotional one too. So I don't know if that's true. I don't know.
Yeah, if you could really just sit down and just like crank it out
and just cry for like an hour or two. I don't know that I was doing that.
Did the song make you cry?
It did. It still does, for sure.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's such a common experience for people to care for either an aging parent or loved one or spouse or whoever. I think it's just really common. And there's not a ton of content that I find that is geared towards, there's not like a lot of shows or movies or songs that's geared towards that experience. And so this one to me was, it felt like it hit the nail on the head as far as kind of the emotion and the like the love and the grief all involved in that. It was cool. So and I'm still looking for content like that, and it's just hard. It's a touchy subject, but
I just really love like grief trauma, and I just want to go down that rabbit hole.
I think it's
as hard as grief porn. I just want that as much. I just want sorrow, constant sorrow in my life.
Because I mean, even I would talk to people who were in their like 60s or 70s who had dealt with an aging family member or loved one, and or had to care for somebody because they were sick or something, and like the experience is so foreign to us that I would even ask them like for advice, and they'd be like, oh, I don't know, I can't remember it, because it was so stressful. They'd block it out. It's so stressful. Probably nobody taught them anything, so it was just winging it until it was over. So it's just, I think it's super common, and I think but every time it happens to somebody, it feels like nobody else is doing this.
My fiance, her husband passed away. And I kind of, we've talked about that. Of course. Like, it's just like a blur to her. She doesn't, you know, it's the same thing. It's just, you know, it's just what you do what you have to do during that time, and you get through it, and, you know. They're so full of emotion, and probably new emotions that people aren't used to. Or on a level that they're not used to experiencing day to day. So I think, you do just kind of, the memory gets... Were you there when your dad passed? Was he here, or at your home? Or?
He was, we got him into a hospice place, like, maybe 16 hours before he passed. So, I was there, and it was, honestly, the day might have been the easiest part of that whole process, because it was the only part of the process that it was like, I know what happens now. Like, it's very clear what my job is here and what to do. And it was really beautiful. I got to be with him the whole time, and we had our last, final moments, and he was real fuzzy and everything. So they were kind of goofy, silly, like didn't make any sense moments. But it was great, except for as soon as the second that he passed, a nurse walked in. This is one of my stage jokes too, and offered me soup.
That's what you do.
I mean, immediately it was like, oh, okay, so the world will just keep happening now. Like now I'm just answering different questions. So
my dad had to take care of my mom before she passed. She had large cell lymphoma, and it was just terrible. And I really wasn't paying attention to how sick she was, which is just like on me, which is probably how I was handling it. And he called me before calling 911, which...
That's a big...
But, and he was a firefighter. And it was just kind of like, you know, we my fiance talk about this a lot, because there was like anger that I had about it.
About him calling you?
Calling me before calling 911.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know, but she was like, he knew. Like, you know, that kind of thing. But it was kind of he was like, you know, what do I do? And I'm like, oh no. Like,
don't make me tell you what to do.
I was like, call 911, I'm on the way. Like, and I was just like, oh no, this is it. You know, you don't think of it that way, you know. And it's like, at least you had more foresight than I did. Like, I had no idea how close that call was going to be, you know. And I had seen her that morning, so it wasn't like I just really didn't have any pay no mind. Let's talk about the song before I burst into tears and we just get like weepy here talking about our past gone parents. Is there a particular lyric in the song that sticks with you or anything like that?
There's a lot of them in this song. I think that the idea of him saying, he says, sing me a love song from your heart or from the phone book. It doesn't matter. And I think I liked that because, and this is one of those songs where I'm like, this might mean intentionally the total opposite of how I'm interpreting it. But this is its meaning to me was that when my dad started to get sick, one of the things that he would do is have these acute confusion episodes, and he would start to do what I call babbling, which was just saying phrases, words. You could tell that we thought they were seizures. Like, it was he would just kind of stare off and talk and talk and talk. And so in the beginning I was recording all of these, I had to record all of his medical stuff because I was trying to figure out what the doctors, what was going on. So I have all of these, I've got this book of notes, and a bunch of it says, like, 12:20, he started babbling again, like I was trying to figure out what that was. And then those went away, but more and more he would just in general make less sense. Things got harder for him, and And I think, But some of those years that I spent with him are some of the best years that I had with him. It just felt good to take care of him. It felt like he was in a different form, but it was still him, and so it was like it didn't take away from any of those moments that he wasn't his coherent self. Like, it still felt like that was making our relationship stronger, probably in the same way it would have been if he was, talking about politics and taxes and baseball. Like, it probably would have been the same thing.
Yeah.
So, I just like that phrase, I think.
Yeah.
Of, like, even it's those little, like, human moments that are sometimes
just sing to me.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Yeah. Just let me hear your voice singing. Yeah. It's good.
I like that part.
Yeah, I took it more of like a the way I interpreted the song, because I have no frame of reference. Like, it's tied to a specific moment in your life. So if you hear lyrics, it's like this is what I think of them. It's more like, I took it more like, this relation, whatever this relationship is, it's coming to an end. Yeah. I'm trying not to mess it up, but I'm not perfect. Like, he opens with this, he's like, I'm trying not to hurt you.
Yeah.
And then one of them, the one that stuck with me is, he talks about, he's like, I'm an apple, you're a tree. Mm-hmm. And he's like, and I won't leave, even if you're shook. Mm-hmm. But you're still an apple.
Yeah.
And it's like, at some point, this isn't gonna, it's not, and then like, he was talking about, are you looking behind you? Are you looking over your shoulder? I think is the phrase he used. And it's like,
what's that over your shoulder?
Yeah. And it's like, is that, in your case, I guess more of like, departure.
Yeah.
And me, it was more like, this is gonna be it. At some point, like, I'm trying to work this out, and it's just, we're missing here at some point. But I think you could take it either way, honestly. If you like, I think so. It's definitely a
relationship song.
Yeah.
No matter which way, like, something is ending. Something's gonna. It's a grief song for sure. And I think, who was I telling this to? We've got this phrase in Ariel that I do Ariel stuff. They don't know. We've got this phrase in Ariel.
Okay, what is Ariel stuff? That's very odd. Like, that's just what is Ariel stuff?
It's silks and rope and trapeze and circus. It's circus stuff.
Okay.
And so I do that. But before performance, our coach, the owner, will always tell us that fear feels the same as excitement in the body. She's like, so it's the same, biologically, it's the same hormones, the same chemicals that make you feel that way. It's just your perspective changes if it's fear or if it's excitement. So if you're afraid, just think, no, I'm excited. Then you'll feel excited, not afraid. So which works sometimes, not every time.
Does it work out? Do you use that before stage?
I do, yeah.
And does that, like, help you?
Yeah, I, like a crazy person, if I'm nervous for a show, when they start clapping to bring the host up, to bring me up or whatever, I'm behind the door or the curtain or the lights or whatever, and I start to, like, fake smile and laugh.
I was literally about to say that. I start smiling.
You do that too?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Because you have to.
Yeah, I've got to get amped up for this.
Get amped
and it's
up.
like, I'm gonna smile. I could be like shaking like a leaf on the inside, but it's like, I'm smiling. When does that go away? How soon does it go away for you?
The anxiety about getting on stage.
Being on stage, yeah.
It happens almost as soon as I start talking. Unless it is going really bad. Like, unless I start my set and it's just.
Do you open with the same words? Do you know if you do that or not?
Open with the same words?
I literally open with the same words. What's up? Like, I start putting the mic back and say, like, what's up, where I'm at.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
Okay.
The mic goes behind me and let's go.
And then
Yeah.
That's your cue to your brain.
Yeah.
Of like, let's just do this.
And then maybe I'm still nervous or whatever, but we're here now.
Yeah.
Like, now I've got to tell jokes and.
Yeah. Isn't it? It's, you can trick yourself into like being okay. I do that we do drops in Ariel sometimes, and I was so scared to ever let go and drop down.
Yeah.
That I had to. If I just let myself sit, I just sit up there forever and just be scared. I had to. Every time that I think go to myself, which sounds super simple, but I know if I think go, I have to let go. As soon as I think it now, my brain shuts off and we're going. It's just you can just trick your brain into like. You
can do a lot of trickery, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Yes. But yeah, I'm glad you said the smiling and laughing thing, because it feels insane, but it's like.
No.
I have to either channel this into excitement and happiness.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna look insane. Like I'm gonna look so scared.
When maybe like my third open mic, like seriously. So I was completely backwards on how I did everything. Like I didn't know about open mics. Like I just entered like the helium competition, whatever.
Oh.
And like and actually moved on to the semifinals the first time I did.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like terrible in hindsight. Because it's like, no, because then you're like, scary. Oh yeah, well.
Oh yeah.
I'm better than what I think I am, right? And I went to Funny Bone and got on the open mic and had and just like cracked in the middle of it. Like somebody didn't laugh at my joke.
Yeah.
Which happens all the time now. It happens less than no people laugh all the time.
Yeah.
all kidding aside, like you say something and you're like you can see it in new people all the time.
Yeah.
They anticipate. Like, oh, this works.
And they'll let down.
And it's such a like kick in the rear that it's like a little tee hee hee, or it's like some chuckling, or there's like or there's just space.
Yeah.
And then it's like, wait, this was supposed to hit. This is way funnier in my head when I say it out loud. Like, when I wrote it, man, this worked. And then so like this was, about 4 years ago now, and I was just like. I was off that stage in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, that's it. I gotta go. And then I literally just walked right out the door, and I was like, all right, let's go to the car. And Becky, my fiance, was like, had a drink in her hand. And she's like, what's going on? And I was like, are you coming back? We had like a whole conversation about it. And she's like, well, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna do it. And it's like, But yeah, that was like one of those times where it was kind of like. I couldn't get over the jitters. I couldn't, and then nobody laughed, and I was like losing my place, and I was just like, oh my god, this is the worst, you know. And you go, and if you have like an experience like a competition or something like that, where like you bring people with you, and like everybody's like in a good mood, and having a bag, and that goes a long way. The 2-drink minimum is a godsend.
Yeah.
People don't realize that. It's like
I know. I forget how big of a factor alcohol is.
In comedy?
Yeah. I forget. And sometimes absolutely. I'll be at the, up front in the lineup, and I'm like, oh, that didn't really go like I wanted it to go. And then by the end, they're all cracked up, and I'm like, I guess, I just suck. And then I have to remember, they were also sober, though. Maybe I do suck a little bit, but a little bit they were sober.
Come on.
Had new drinks.
Let's go. Just walking by tables, tapping on them. Come on.
I buy everybody shots before every show. I think it's nice, but it's just to feed my ego.
Yeah, it would work a lot. You'd certainly get the crowd of oh, Ellie's gonna buy you a drink,
That'd be fun.
It would be fun.
Maybe that's how you get famous.
Maybe. Who knows? We may never find out.
Yeah.
And if you do find out by getting buying alcohol, I want in.
Oh yeah, I'll tell everybody.
I just buy shots.
I just buy so much.
I'm not a bum. I don't get it. Yeah. So we this song is it sad enough for you?
It's sad enough. Oh, that's what I was talking about with the fear and the excitement feeling the same.
Yeah.
Is that this is one of those songs, and I think in a lot of relationship griefy songs, because people there are people that just like sad songs and sad stuff. I'm one of those people. I love sad stuff. I love sad movie, sad shows.
You've made that abundantly clear. You're into grief porn.
I love grief porn, I guess, and I
term that phrase. So if you're gonna start using it, give me credit.
Yeah, and then also credit that I was here. But I think for a long time I thought that was really weird, and there was something depressing and wrong with me for that. But I think what it is that there's probably other feelings that feel the same in the body as something else does.
Yeah.
And I think that when my dad passed, I really realized that grief and strong love feel the same for my body as it does. I cry at both. I feel very sentimental about both, and I get so I think that the reason I like sad stuff and the reason I like things like this song is because it feels like love to me. It feels like the way that the same kind of vulnerability and deep feelings that it feels. So it's kind of it feels sad, but in a nice way. It's like, oh, it's sad because it's something important. Like, I like that. So.
I think it could have been sadder.
Do you think so?
I was like, this could be like a little bit sadder.
No tears from the Phipps machine on editors?
I'm not crying on, okay. I don't cry for songs, not very often. There is a song,
You said a Smiths song, no. That's Tear City.
Well, let's transition. Perfect segue. You're doing my job for me. We could switch seats, you could host. This could be your show. Like, if something tragic happens to me, you can take over.
I appreciate it. I'll take it now. Thank you. This is my show. Welcome to the Ellie Kirchhoefer show.
All right. Okay, so what was the name of the song I gave you? Do you know?
You gave me, yes. Last night I dreamt that somebody loved me.
Yes. Last night, and it's by?
The Smiths.
The Smiths.
The Smiths.
The Smiths, yes.
Not
they do
Smiths.
have a D. Not Smiths. No, they have a D in front. Had you heard the song before?
No.
What did you think of it?
I liked it. I was fascinated by the beginning.
Yes.
And I want to ask you about that because I thought there has to be something. This has to be audio from something specific or something.
Did you look it up?
No.
It is from like some kind of riot.
Is it really?
Happened. Yeah. The Wikipedia, it has its own Wikipedia page, which is always a good indicator that the song is a good song.
Yeah.
If it has its own Wikipedia page, it's not just...
There's some lore behind it.
Yeah, there is some lore behind it. And so there's some kind of riot. I don't know the exact one. My editor will put it down. I have an editor, and she's great. And we'll put down like where the actual riot's from. Okay. Something in England. There's something over there because the editors and the Smiths are both British. So
yes.
Something over there in Great Britain.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what.
Okay, that's interesting.
The United Kingdom.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're. Yeah.
I don't know.
England.
It doesn't matter.
I don't know anything outside of the continental 48 states.
I like to keep it to the metropolitan.
Yeah, even less. Right.
That's interesting because I thought it was very distinct audio. It was good audio, and I was like, they didn't. This isn't B-roll audio. They didn't do this. This is like this is
they record. It's some kind of riot or conflict or something that they got a hold of.
And so, do you know what the relation is to of a riot to the song? Do you have a specific interpretation of that?
I think it's just kind of a setup, like maybe just like chaos or something.
Okay,
I really don't. I'm not. So one of the reasons why I do this podcast, there's a couple. One is there was a comic and we were talking about bands, and we were at a bar. We were drinking after a show, and he was like. He had a Drive-By Truckers shirt on. Okay. And I had actually seen the Drive-By Truckers, and I wasn't that impressed.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you haven't heard the Drive-By Truckers. He's like, you got to listen to the song. He gave me a song, and I was like, oh, well, if they would have played this, I'd be more on board.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, well, if you're going to give me that, then you got to have this. And then I was like, I could talk to anybody about this.
Yeah.
And so that was the creation of the podcast.
Yeah.
The second part of that is, for the longest time, I don't understand the meaning of songs.
Okay.
It's just on face value. And one of the things that multiple listenings and reading lyrics and getting now I'm making an effort because I really didn't make an effort. Now something as straightforward as this song, there's not much to interpret, but it is kind of interesting. You have this just almost orchestral beginning with a piano solo. Yeah. And then just kind of leads into this song.
Yeah.
And so what did you... Give me your takes on the song.
There was a couple of things instrumentally that were... And the Smiths always feel kind of dreamy to me.
Yeah.
The way that they
absolutely.
sound
That was pretty intentional. Yeah.
Yeah. But they've got this it feels like they have extra... I don't know if these terms are right, but it feels like they have extra reverb on the drums and the vocals, and there's kind of a really long echo on everything. Yeah. And they also did this thing in the song, and I don't know if this is the remaster or if this is how it's supposed to be, but do you notice that there are skips in the track?
Yeah.
Did you notice that? Where the drop? If you didn't, it's okay. It might just be my phone.
I don't know. Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm just lying to you right now. I don't think there was
It might be my phone.
There, I don't. It might be your phone. Maybe you should listen to it. But there wasn't like real skips.
Well, because I listened to it a few times through, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Is this my phone?" And then I listened to other songs, and I was like, "No, it's not that. It's fine for that." But
maybe you'd have to point out like where you consider a skip, and then
I'll have to find it
afterwards, and then we'll have this whole conversation that we won't record about whether or not there's skips in there.
I'll give you the timestamps, and you just put them in the comment section and see what other.
These are where the skips are. If you were listening, please do.
But I don't know. It felt very much like chaotic in the beginning with a hint of the song.
Yeah.
And then the song kicks in.
Yeah.
And it's this kind of weird dreamlandy type of thing, and it just felt very much like the symbol of a dream. Like he was dreaming through chaos in the beginning, which seemed kind of cool.
Well, I mean, the song has the word dream in it. And he talks about it.
So I'm right about that part.
Yeah, well, obviously. Yeah. I mean, those lyrics couldn't be more depressing, though, to me.
They're sad.
Yeah. But I mean, not just sad, like sad. Like, there's your sadness. Like, it's just like,
Is that more Tear Town for you than the phone book?
Neither one of them would elicit tears from me.
Not an emotion.
Not from those two songs, no.
Okay.
There's two songs I can think of that I've cried about in my entire life.
Is it Celine Dion?
Yeah, it was. My Heart Goes On. Yeah, and Aerosmith. Yep. Yeah, Don't Want to Close My Eyes.
Yep.
No, so one of them is a country song called Daddy by Conway Twitty, which my dad played for me, and it was like very emotional. Okay. Because it was like, here's how much I care about my dad.
Yeah.
And then the other one is a song from Palace. Can't think of the name of it right now, but it's about your mom dying.
Okay.
And and I discovered it like 2 or 3 years ago, and that like gets me.
Yeah.
I do listen to it every now and then, but like that one, because it's like literally talking about like your mom passing away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's very like
hard to make it happy.
No, but it's so. But for this, it's just like, man, it's just like this longing, It's like, man, it's like last night I dreamt somebody loved me.
Yeah.
And then no hope, no harm, just another false alarm.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny. Like, what a wordplay. Like, Morrissey's incredible at, like, writing lyrics. You could just, and people analyze them on, like, a, graduate level. It's like, you can take classes on Morrissey's poetry.
Yeah.
And, but just... It's almost funny, but at the same time, it's like, he's singing about, like, just this longing, and he's like, and then again, he's like, then I dreamt somebody held me.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, not that. That didn't happen either. None of this is ever going to happen,
And then the please, what was the lyric? Please teach me or please show me before the right one and before the real one or before. It felt very youthful to me.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like how you feel when you're like a teenager or a young adult and you think you've got to get all this love stuff down right away so that you can, and it's like, no, that's not going to be another 10, 20 years for you.
I mean, you actually figure it out. I mean, you may never figure it out.
Yeah. But it did feel very like, oh, he's probably realizing for the first time that he would like to feel love and know how to do it.
Right.
But it's a very sweet song. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was cute. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't use the word cute. I've never used the word cute to describe it. No, you can call it cute all you want. No, they just...
I take it back. It sucks, actually. And I didn't like it.
So the point of the podcast is that people give their honest opinions of the songs. And it's like... I'm waiting for somebody to just completely just, hate whatever I give them. We might be there at some point. Soon, I think.
Yeah.
But we'll find out. But yeah, just... the Smiths are just so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
So like you have and this is the age difference that we have here, is during the late 80s there was the Smiths and the Cure.
Yeah.
And they hated each other.
Yes.
Like, famously hated each other. Yes.
I love the Cure.
Yeah, and I love the Smiths.
Oh no.
So Morrissey was he's a vegan, and he was just like, I would eat meat before I would ever befriend the Smiths. Like it was just like these weird battles that they had for like no good reason. But I was always like on the side of like the this new romantic, new wave, wispy, as opposed to like the dark goth Cure thing that they had going on.
Yeah.
Huge Depeche Mode fan. So like But in terms of like those two bands, I always like the Smiths more. They always like resonated with me of just this longing and sadness and just emptiness of life, you know, because Morrissey's really good at like identifying that like life sucks.
Yeah.
And I think it's, you know, I think it's just from a place of like not really fitting in. You know, Morrissey was closeted during this time, so he couldn't be out about it. Not only that, he was like a sex symbol.
Yeah.
So like, you know, you had like all these teeny bopper girls. I'm gonna call them teeny boppers. I hope you don't mind, but
I think that's fine.
Okay.
It's not bad as far as I know.
Okay.
But if it is, then I'm sorry, and you shouldn't have said it.
Yeah. This won't. If I win, I get canceled. Not if. It won't be for that. It won't be for teeny boppers. So you have like, you know, he couldn't come out and say what he wanted to say. He could not come out and be who he wanted to be. You know, and he wrote these. He wrote tons of love songs. I mean, like the Smiths are just, you know, tons of them, and then crazy songs on top of that. My favorite, of course, is "Girlfriend in a Coma." Are you familiar with the song "Girlfriend in a Coma"?
I don't think so.
Oh man, it's tons of fun. Yeah, because if you're paying attention, there's an implication that he put the girlfriend in a coma.
Oh, that's fun.
But it's it's this weird song. You gotta listen to it. Okay. It's just this. Take a minute and listen to "Girlfriend in a Coma," and he's just sitting there talking about the song is literally "Girlfriend in a Coma," you know, and it's like I know it's not that serious. And it's like, wait, what? She's in a coma. Anyway, let's get back to, you know, we'll sidetrack, but just, there's just this longing in this song. And you were talking about, like, loss. And you were talking about, like, you mentioned, so Ellie didn't get the rules of the show right to begin with. She was like, pick some songs. And I was like, that's not how this works at all. Yeah. And so you gave me like a few artists, people that you might wanted to listen to, and then you were like, oh, well, let's talk about grief and sadness, and here's the song. I don't remember the exact words you used, but it was something along those lines. It's like, let's be sad. And I was like, okay, well, what do I know that's like reminds me of sadness? And this doesn't really remind me of sadness. It reminds me of like that hollow, empty feeling of like, man, I wish I was in a relationship. I wish I had. Like even the loss, like I just wish I had that, you know, and it's like, and last night I dreamt about it, and then I woke up and it was just like,
and it wasn't there.
Yeah, it's like you ever have those dreams where like something successful happened to you? Like you ever had like a lottery dream? Nothing like that, and it's like
it's nightmare town for me, Jeff.
All right, we're learning so much about each other. But yeah, you've never had like a dream where like something you wanted to have happened or whatever, and you wake up and you're like, oh man, like.
Probably.
I'm still me.
For the sake of this conversation, I've had this dream.
I appreciate you playing along. There'll be bonus points for you at the end of the show. But yeah, so it's just kind of like when you talk about this song in particular and in their overall catalog, there's just kind of like, I wish things would go better for me. Yeah. And it never quite does.
I thought that was probably, I was trying to find the connection between that song and this one. And they're both very similar in like their vibe or whatever. But I think the lyric about like show me how to do it before it's the right one or before it's the like I think that
how long before the right one is
how long is it how long before the right one? Okay.
Yeah. So tell me how long.
Tell me how long before the right one. Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought he was saying tell me how. I think I missed the word long.
Yeah. Well, maybe it skipped.
Maybe it skipped.
Maybe this is where the skip. It might have been. I don't even remember this verse you keep talking about, like where he wanted to be hugged. Like, was that in the song? Yes, it was.
I think maybe I got a bad clip of this song on Spotify. But I thought that the connection was like, I'm going to lose my whole train of thought because now I'm thinking about what's wrong with my Spotify account that I'm going to have to fix after this. But I thought the connection was like, you know, I think everybody when you're younger or before you have it or before it longs for like a deep connection and love and relationship and all of that, which are all reasonable things to want. But I think that nobody knows how to do those things until they're in them. And even when they're in them, they're learning every step of the way how to do that. Like it's just so I think the idea when you're younger is like, oh, I'll get older, I'll learn how to handle relationships and then it'll all be really easy. And as far as I know, I've not met a single adult who that has turned out to be the case for them. It seems like everybody, like, it's just something that you're constantly learning. And it felt like that with my dad. It felt like, you know, I don't know how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And even now that I've done it, I've taken care of somebody through to the end. If I had to do it tomorrow with a different person, I probably would be just as lost as I was the first time.
Right.
Like, I don't know how to do this. It's a whole different relationship. It's a whole different scenario. So I just thought it was.
Would you want to be good at it though? Is it something that you never want to be good at that? It's like, oh man, unless you're like a Black Widow or something, and you're just like putting people down and like.
You wouldn't want to have to be good at it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's probably good for anybody to have to be good at it. But
like a hospice nurse, like I couldn't imagine being that.
That's hard.
Yeah.
I don't know how people do that. That's very difficult.
I think you I don't know. Maybe you compartmentalize it. You zone out, or like it's just like clock in, clock out, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You leave it at work.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know how you could handle that much emotion. It's probably people that are really good at making the fogged up version of
right,
because. I remember talking to hospice people, and I was, distraught, and I was like, I just don't know if this is the right thing to do. And they were just like, yeah, well, when you make a decision, let us know. Like, they couldn't.
Yeah, it was like.
It's like, that's your job.
But that's Monday.
That's Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't.
You're right.
Feel anything for this. How are you going to live your life? Like, there's no way. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, at some point, that's got to get to you, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd just be overwhelming, you'd think.
Yeah, you would think so. I don't know.
So next week I'm gonna have a hospice nurse on, and we're gonna get to the bottom.
We're gonna get to the whole trajectory.
Yeah, so we're just gonna talk to hospice nurses. I'm gonna shift the content. No more songs. Just how did you deal with this? Yeah, I think the connection for me between the two was literally just like, this is where he's wanting to be.
Yeah.
And then even then, it's you're longing for things that just may not go well in either way.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's like you can try. Like you're longing, like, well, how are you gonna deal with this when this goes bad? That kind of thing. Because not necessarily everything goes bad, but
I think everything goes bad a little bit. I don't think everything goes bad.
Well, everything's gonna end the same way.
Yes. Yeah.
So
that's true.
It's gonna cash out. It's just a matter of like, is it a good place or not? In a good place.
Yeah.
Like, is this relationship in a good place, or am I single or alone or whatever? But at some point, like, the ride's over.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
So. Sorry to.
I got a long time to live, huh? Probably. What do I got? Like 60 more years.
60 more years. I don't like getting morbid, but it's always in the back of my mind. So, yeah.
100%. Every day, I think about getting old, like, how am I aging?
Yeah.
And then also, and I talked to somebody the other day, and they were like, I never think about that. I was like, you never? I think every day I'm thinking about that. Every day I'm like, if I eat this, is it gonna kill me? Like, it's just.
Man, if I could find that one thing, man, I would just. It's time to go. Just let's cash out right now. This was a decent run.
I'm about.
Wasn't a great run.
One bad grocery trip away from being like, you know what? I did my best here.
I've been really bad about it. We'll leave food in the house like way too long sometimes. Like lunch, especially deli meat. Like I'm really bad about this, and it's just like, oh, I just killed myself. Like this sandwich was rancid, and I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
And it's my own fault. No one will be to blame for this besides me. So I think we made a good connection here. I think we had 2 good songs.
Yes.
Would you listen to the song again? Like, would you add it on a playlist?
I think I would.
Okay.
The beginning is fascinating to me, and I really want to read about that and figure out what that is, because that is really interesting, and I love songs that have some lore behind them.
Yeah.
And it's just really pretty.
Yeah.
Every Smiths song I hear, the Smiths song that I hear is super pretty. Like, every time I hear, I'm like, this is beautiful. It's really nice.
You've never heard Girlfriend in a Coma, so you don't know.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I just didn't dive in. There's stuff that I hear that I don't think to explore.
When you hear like a new artist, do you go down that road of like just starting to listen to a bunch of their music, or you're just like, I'm good now. Like I don't need to know.
It really depends.
Okay.
I think if I think that their sound is interesting enough, I might explore.
Yeah.
But if it's just a song that makes me happy, I'm like, just let that be there.
I gotta listen to at least like 3 or more.
Do you?
Past judge. Absolutely.
Every artist that you like.
Not every artist. In addition to every artist I like, but every song I hear.
Wow.
I listen to a lot of music.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
That's
like I have headphones on like 24/7.
Okay. Yeah.
And just ignore humans. It's really nice.
That is nice.
It is. Yeah. So I think we made a good connection here. I think we understand like the connection between the two songs. So did I do good by choosing a song like this?
Yeah.
All right, good.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was super fun to talk about. I didn't know if you were going to try to relate the two or if you were just going to pick something, you know, and we were just going to have two totally separate discussions. I think it was fun.
I mean, you can have two totally separate discussions.
Yeah,
you could go all sorts of routes. This is still a work in progress.
Okay.
This may never solidify anything solid. I don't know.
That's fine.
There's a lot of I don't knows involved in this. But yeah, we just kind of talk about songs and, you know, like I said, the whole idea was like, oh, you know, give me a song and then I'll give you one and let's talk about them.
Yeah. You know,
and then I try to relate somewhat in some connection or form or fashion.
Yeah, even though you don't feel any sadness or emotion
I don't feel any sadness or emotion. Like song. It's a
tough
song.
job for you that you picked.
No, it was fine.
I think that this would be so fascinating. I know that you can't send stuff to real musicians. They don't receive it. But for musicians to hear people talking about their music would be really, just like lay people, like not musicians, just like people and what they would be really interesting. You should do like a local band.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to meet with John Parker here soon, and he's in a band, so we've already exchanged songs. So.
Yeah. Oh, you guys should listen to the John Parker episode. That'll be he's really fascinating to listen to about music and art and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So I'm excited about that one. So. All right. I think we covered everything. Thank you so much for being on. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sorry that I didn't, elicit any response to your song. I did. I was like, this is pretty sad and stuff like that.
That's fine. I'll make other people cry.
All right. Well, that's the goal. Maybe you'll cry. You'll listen to it and you'll cry. Maybe knowing her background behind the song will hit you a little bit harder. Like maybe that'll be the end,
Maybe.
Like, they're going through a really rough time.
I can't make them laugh, make them fucking feel terrible is what I say.
Make them feel, elicit a response. Like, I had we'll close on this. I was at the drawing board when that was still, drawing room, when that was still a mic. Mm-hmm. And I was up there just like telling jokes and telling stories. Mm-hmm. And nobody said a word. Like, I literally quieted the room for 5 minutes. And I was just like, at least I had you quiet. Like, the bar was quiet. That bar was quiet. And if you've ever been there, like, that place was loud and obnoxious. Yeah. And it was really hard to tell jokes in. But I had all their attention for 5 minutes. And I'm like, I will take this as a victory. Yeah. Even though it really wasn't useful in terms of comedy. But, in terms of stage presence, like, I had their attention for 5 minutes. Yeah, they were so I did elicit a response, which was, please leave. Just go. Will you please get off the stage? We've had enough. Like, just staring at me, just glaring, like...
Were they glaring?
No, or they were listening.
They were listening.
They were listening.
Yeah, and that's hard. That's hard to get people to do. It's hard to get people to do in a bar, especially.
2 drink minimum.
2 drink minimum. And they're listening?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That's why comedy clubs work the way they do. They make their money off their booze, but at the same time, like, it makes everybody happier. All right, well, you've been listening to Give Me a Song. Today's guest was Ellie Kirchhoefer. Ellie, look in the camera and tell people how they can get a hold of you. You can email me or text my 636. You can find me on Instagram, Kirchhoefer_comedy. I put up my shows there and on Facebook too, Ellie Kirchhoefer. So. Do you just accept random friend requests, or do people have to follow you? You can follow me on Instagram. I'm not accepting any more friend requests on Facebook. I've decided I have enough of those. Yeah. I don't blame you there. I just don't care about it. But Instagram, you can follow me on there. All right, sounds good. Thank you for coming on. You've been listening to Give Me a Song. I'm your host, Jeff Phipps. I'm at Jeffrey_Phipps, ERY, not REY. That's a whole fun story. And we always close with this saying, so if you enjoyed it, tell a friend, and if you didn't, keep it to yourself. Thank you, and have a great day. I'm sorry, and you shouldn't have said it. You get $25 for your cancer treatment. I just really love grief trauma. I don't understand the meaning of songs.